As major infectious disease outbreaks continue to emerge throughout Africa, agencies need to ensure effective prevention, detection, and responses to the threats. One way of doing this is to integrate multi-sectoral approaches to deal with these challenges. The University of Minnesota and the U.S. Department of Agriculture developed a systems mapping tool that maps out key organizations' involvement in outbreak preparedness and response teams. The OSMAT tool provides a standardized process for strengthening agency and stakeholder interactions around prevention, detection, and control of infectious disease threats and antimicrobial resistance. The tool enables practitioners to analyze how existing collaborations are perceived within the multi-agency network, how the interagency collaborations actually work, and identifies discrepancies and opportunities to fill gaps and build best practices to strengthen multi-agency collaborations. Response to emerging threats requires strong institutions that meet government-identified workforce needs by supporting the development of an in-service and pre-service workforce through improved education and training opportunities and enhanced partnerships. In the African region, this capacity is still largely weak. A total of 42 participants from 8 countries representing universities within the One Health Central and Eastern African Network and from partner government agencies were trained on how to use the One Health Systems Mapping and Analysis Resource Toolkit, or SMART. Participants included senior faculty and senior government representatives from Cameroon, Senegal, Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The workshop also featured training on the OIE PVS tool, the CDC Zoonotic Disease Prioritization tool, and the USAID Preparedness and Response Project supported One Health National Platforms tools. Other partners that facilitated the training included the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the World Health Organization, the FAO Emergency Centers for Transboundary Animal Disease, and the USAID Preparedness and Response Project. This mix of participants greatly enriched the discussions and impacted the outcome of the highly participatory and practical training. The training created understanding of the tool and built capacity in leadership and facilitation skills for the participants to be able to conduct the same training and support outcome processes in their own countries. It also equipped the participants with other tools that can enable them to identify cross-sectoral systems and identify workforce and operational gaps and challenges.
This tool is beneficial in many ways, but it's going to need another tool because it doesn't have a capability of doing a needs assessment. And for us, we want to create programs or develop a workforce depending on need. So we are going to have to look for a side tool to do the needs assessment because we need to do a needs assessment first before we can plan for a workforce. So that is something that is still gray in that tool that needs to be enhanced. And even if it's there, it's very rudimentary.
What I know about cross-sectoral collaboration is that there's been always a limitation in like people are limited in terms of the knowledge. Then they need to always interact. And possibly that's one of the reasons why some people are limited to interact with other sectors. But in this workshop, I've come to learn more that there is a great need to collaborate, because by collaborating, then it means that if you collaborate, and especially if you use the tool, you'll be in a position to identify the key stakeholders and then know what each specific role each one can play, such that it even helps you to collaborate well.
This problem of listening, active listening, was something which was so fine for me. because they did a role play, and that role play really makes me feel good, because there are some techniques which we don't have. In my experience, that when somebody doesn't want to answer, you don't think finding some way to really change the subject to make him be with you. So you just quit that, and you see. So this experience we saw was so fine. And also, one of the techniques which I saw when we were facilitating is so good, because in the long run we change our way of facilitating, yes, and mostly that discrepancy page where you have to write things where we don't accord yourself. This is something which I didn't have in my practice, and it's so good for me to learn those ways of exchanging with the others. Really, it's so nice.
I see this works well when you have people from different sectors, like from the human side, from the institution training, like I come from the institutions, but also now from the Ministry of Health, who are the largely some of them are the policymakers. Now, really, I see that this can help to bridge the disaster preparedness. If we use such kind of skills, we can do well in terms of disaster preparedness, in terms of communication. In my groups, I was also giving some examples how things don't go well. Who says what? Who reports well? Where sometimes the press releases are released not based on the facts, not based on the assessment that has been done. But you hear the influencer in Uganda, then you come on the platform to speak. It's there, it's not there, but you haven't done any assessment. So also aspects such as risky communication. How do we communicate in the context of risky? All of these are important aspects that perhaps the health system of Tanzania has to learn and has to take on board. So I think it's critically important.
We have a global health security project that Kinshasa School of Public Health is currently implementing in the country. One of the two main goals is to reinforce the prevention of zoonotic disease and also to strengthen the workforce development. And one of the activities that we plan for the second year that we have to implement very soon, it was to assess what are the needs now regarding human resource for health, regarding the zoonotic disease prevention. So when I heard about this tool, I said, this is a tool that is really important for us, because not only it's a tool for planification, but it's also a tool that we can use as a situational analysis, and that's what we have to do as first activity for the second year of the project. So this training is very useful for me.
We should have had this long ago. We should have had this. When you hear of a tool, you think of something very complicated. But OSMAT is summarized in one slide, and a few workable steps, and its adaptability. Actually, as I go back to West Africa, I think I'll use this tool next week. I'll use this tool next week because it is very adaptable. It can be used at any level, and it's easy. It can be, and I really look forward to seeing it applied in these different plans that the countries have put together, that they have drafted. I'll keep close to the process, and I think it's exciting. It's very flexible, adaptable, it's easy, it's not really complicated, and just helps people to see because One Health is complex. So the tool helps you to sort out and begin to connect yourselves, and that's very good. It's very good.
I think there's a real opportunity that we saw come to fruition at the end of the week of using this systems mapping tool for helping agencies work together more effectively and efficiently to address emerging pandemic threats in the region, and even diseases that affect people every day, like rabies and like tuberculosis. So I think there's going to be real opportunity to use this tool on a lot of levels, OSMART tool, to help governments and especially multiple ministries to work together more efficiently and effectively to better manage diseases in their countries.
The training is a groundbreaking occurrence in One Health in the region. While talk has been about the need to work together, attention to mapping agencies and strengthening interaction has been minimal. The training and the interaction that came with it advances One Health to a practical level.
In my experience working with the universities and also working with the government and with partners, this is the first candid discussion I've seen between government and universities. And if we can foster this, this is going to take us places. So that the issues that came out, just the fact that they are talking across and the appreciation, then we are beginning to put together our resources and utilize them very well. So I think this was a very, very good discussion. And then to see partners come and begin to map their available resources to the needs that have been identified. This is great. This is great. I think we are now going to make progress.
To many participants, the training and the tool is a godsend, especially those that were in the process of planning for country workforce assessment, and those where coordination of partners and stakeholders is a real nightmare.
It's often hard to collaborate and coordinate. And what we see when we use this OSMART tool is that things start out difficult, right? You have a hard time, but then you have a systematic way of talking through some of these challenges that you face in terms of improving communication and improving coordination and having teams work together out in the field to better their communities and improve people's health. And that's what we saw this week, I think. We saw people working through some of the challenges in a systematic way and coming to some agreement.
We tried. In DRC, I think we started the One Health approach more than 5 years ago. And one of the challenges, I noticed that it's the same challenge that face other countries that participate in this training, is the issue of leadership. Between them, we are taking into account the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Agriculture or Ministry of Livestock, and the Ministry of Environment regarding the wildlife. What agency must take the leadership when it is the MOH, the Ministry of Agriculture, don't agree? If it is the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Health doesn't agree. So I think one of the points that we get from this training is in using the leadership participatory skill, by using the active listening, you let them expressing their opinion independently, and you bring them together, working based on what was their opinion. You bring them to come to a consensus about a better way to work together. I think there are 6 steps, and when after the training, I've noticed that all those steps are necessary. Sometimes maybe we try to do this collaboration, but we were not systematically using a tool well organized like the One Health Smart tool.
The cross-sectional collaboration is kind of hard because I'm in the platform of the One Health, because the Ministry of Higher Education has to lead the component part of training, and it's a kind of hard how to really bring those people. For now, it's not well organized, and we ourselves are not trained in One Health approach as such. We just heard we have to do things, and now that we are gaining some training skills, I think that it will help First of all, what we heard about the personality, the social, oh my God, this is going to help enough, because we will start with that and know how to approach the others. And that thing is so nice. And I'm happy because we gain so many things that is going to be easy for us to understand why you have to do things, and reflect on what they are going to give us as reasons, and we share to find a compromise. So it's so good. Yes, it's what I can say. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy.
We have One Health committee led by the Prime Minister, and we have to do activities and coordination. This committee is set up till 2015, and now we are in the phases of implementing activities, in the phases of doing coordination, because we have many programs like EP22, Predict, and a lot of partners with American government like CDC, USDA, and so and so. And this will help us in the multi-sectoral approach to do some training, training.
We have many documents for One Health approach, but you don't use this document. With this workshop, we will be able to practice One Health approach, to try or to work together to solve a problem of public health.
In my country, specifically in my ministry, we have different discipline. It works for that. Also, when there's an ad hoc plan or an outbreak, it uses for that purpose in my country. But for prevention technique, I don't think this one is good, because there is the silos between ministers. So this tool cannot harmonize the differences we have in different sectors. But within a sector, it's good. Even when there is an ad hoc time or an outbreak is occur, that one is best. But when to prevent some disease, prioritizing disease, it's like, because we don't have any platform, the One Health platform in our country. So it's make hard.
Because we have problems now at the Permanent Secretariat, there are two leaders who are not really they are not working together. So for this approach, what we had to make sure that we sell the idea and make them enter to accept this, because it's really important.
First and foremost is that we plan to do a workforce planning. So we need to do a needs assessment. The needs assessment is basically going to target the current programs that we are training in, so that we can be able to see whether we need new programs within the training institutions, or whether we need to remodel the ones that we have to meet the current market trends. In Kenya, basically, whenever programs are made, we target the market. So we make programs that are going to have a market orientation, so that we have graduates and we have a market for them. So this tool to me is useful if you're going to do a map. It teaches you how to do a stakeholder analysis, which you've not been doing. Usually we just sit like the way we're doing and we decide we want so and so and so on our team. But this tool basically teaches you to look at the stakeholders and their interactions and their roles. So in that aspect, it's a very useful tool. If you're doing an outbreak response, as we usually do in Kenya, then you can be able to look at the interactions of the various stakeholders or the players in an outbreak, You can see who is useful and who is not playing any role, and either kick them out or define a new role for them.
My opinion, I got different opinion because we tried since many years ago and we failed. But starting from this tool, I'm not confident to restart the process. I'm sure that we can go ahead.
The interaction enabled participants to share experiences on the different best practices in their countries. Easy to implement initiatives identified for engagement included the use of existing platforms, structures and frameworks that are currently not being utilized much, as well as needs assessments that have been conducted in several countries but have not been discussed by the key agencies, including government and universities. Country key steps include plans to synthesize national workforce needs assessments, to identify workforce training and skills gaps that can be addressed by universities.
So I think there'll be opportunity to work in the countries to look at workforce needs in particular, and better align training both within the universities and governments to strengthen how government officials and how health professionals work in the field to manage infectious disease in their own countries.
First, we need to bring the countries to a level where the government and universities and the partners are talking, especially in the issue of workforce. They are talking about the same thing. Different countries are at different levels, especially when it comes to partners like OHCEA and others. I'm talking to government, or universities talking to government. So first we need to achieve that across the board to make sure that there's a viable, effective platform. In many of the countries, the technical people appreciate One Health. Now we need to get to the managers. We need to get the decision makers. In some countries we are there, in some countries we are not. So we will need support in that process. The second is to sort out the complex results and findings that have come out through the different assessments. And for countries that do JEE, it's a comprehensive tool, but translating that into our plan for universities and governments into an actual work plan for building workforce. I think this is really very good. Probably is one of the first times that we're trying to do this, to have a visualized plan, single plan that the government and universities can look at as they plan.
The first time we have to do assessment because we have a reading program with the program is done by the universities, the public health is it, and the veterinary school, and we have to set up this program, and we have also to do all the SMART process. During the trainings we have to do the mapping of the stakeholders, and after we will do the mapping of the disease process, and after we will put the sectorial mapping together, like we done in this training course, the stakeholders mapping, and in the discrepancies point we will discuss to set up a planning and to improve our legislation to do better the things. And we follow all steps here, and we think that it is what we need to do in our country, and we will done it in a multi-sectorally and in a multidisciplinary approach. It is a real need, emergency need in our country to use all SMART process.
It will be very useful because while we will be in a multidisciplinary team, we shall identify gaps and then propose together some solution, some possible solution. Especially it will be very, very important to identify current gaps and so on.
The expectation is that as a result of these processes, workforce development initiatives and plans will be harmonized and relevant to the country's needs. The individuals trained facilitated One Health Systems mapping and analysis resource toolkit workshops in their countries and elsewhere they have been needed.